That's a bass, huh? That's a slab crappie, man. Just doesn't get any better.
The smallmouth here in Champlain is phenomenal.
Hey, what do you say, guys? Welcome back to another weekend roundup. I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy. How are you doing today? Look who we got in the studio again. We got Josh back here. How you doing, buddy?
Fantastic, George. Yourself?
We are doing great. Just this is our time of year, man. I'm just so glad that it's here. We're able to get out. Water's cooling down. It's down to 60, so lots of fish to be caught.
That's right.
We got a great show lined up. We got Mike Smedley going to join us in a minute. But before we jump into that, we got to thank a few of our sponsors, as always. Fin Seeker, River Guide Service, Tim Keebler. You know, the fall bite is on, guys. You got to give Tim a call. Get that trip locked in before he books up. 215-262-4811. Tim Keebler is the man on the Delaware. Give him a call. Tell him we sent you if you don't mind. Tony Maggia products, you know, those big old bunker spoons and mojos this time of year, those big fish will be coming down the coast. You want to be sure you're ready for them. So give Tony a call, TonyMaggiaProducts.com. Also the Fisherman Magazine, you know, I don't know why my thing's going crazy again, but yeah, Fisherman Magazine, be sure you check them out, thefisherman.com. Subscription for 1 year is $29.95, 38 issues. Be sure you get in on that. Now, I want to bring Mike in right away because we got so much to talk about. I'm excited. It's our time of year. So I want to bring in Mike Smedley. How you doing there, Mike? Hold on. Where you at, bud? Let's see here. There he is. How you doing, Mike? We're doing good. How about yourself?
Doing really good, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us. Yeah, I know you're really busy. So how's the season been treating you? Have you been getting out with all this COVID stuff, and what's been happening?
Oh yeah, more than ever, really. This time of year, I'm mostly freshwater fishing. You know, a lot of local lakes close by, mainly. And then we get a big fall run here right before I head north to start catching them back in salt again. So the lakes around here, we get a big false run in fall when the leaves start to turn brown, and the stripers all move way up the lake. Like they're to spawn, but they don't. They call it a false run, and some lakes have really strong false runs. They can be incredible.
Yeah, I think we're getting ready. Yeah, ready to do the same thing as well. Hey, I got a couple folks joining us. Jen Wong, how you doing, Jen?
Hey, Jen.
Guy Swope. Hey, Guy. He says, hey, George and Smedley. So Guy saying hello there. But yeah,
what's up, buddy?
Yeah, that false run, I think that's something that we've tried to hit for a while, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, it's coming up soon. I'm looking forward to it. Just did some repairs to my boat, got a new sonar, so I'm ready for it. Bring it on.
So how do you normally fish that, Mike? What's your strategy when that fall run comes through?
I was just going to ask you the same thing. How you guys do it?
Actually,
mainly downline.
Okay.
Good.
No, I say my game is trolling, and I know Josh likes a little more of the, like you say, downlines and live baiting and chunking and stuff, but I like to troll. I'll go back into those like to the mouths of those feeder creeks, and I'll troll mojos and stuff like that back there. And that's usually been pretty successful for me.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll start usually similar. You know, I'll start looking around first. I'll ride around right, you know, in the area I know they're going to be within about 4 or 5 mile stretch. And I like fishing in the evening, so I'll usually get at about 1 p.m. and fish till a little after dark. Or, you know, later in the fall when the days are a little shorter, I might do like, you know, sun up to sundown. But what I'll do is I'll run around looking for birds that are just, even if they're just sitting still on the water, just hanging out. If I don't mark any bait or anything, I'll start right where I find birds, even if they're not active, as long as they're there. And then I'll look around, and if I don't mark a whole lot, I might troll. I'll put out some umbrella rigs and look around. But usually, you know where they're going to kind of be, you know. So I'll usually do downlines with herring or big gizzard shad if I can get them. And you're not going to get huge fish on a lot of these lakes in North Carolina, Virginia, but you can get some really good, you know, 8 to 10, 12 pounders, and you know, have some crazy days where you can catch, you know, 40 fish or so, you know, just lines going down all day, and you can see breaking fish as it gets later in the day, and it's a whole lot of fun, you know. So I'll do that right before I head up to New Jersey. But I try to do everything. You know, if you find fish, you know, hanging on a point and they're just sitting still and you can go through them, I'm sure when you're trolling, you'll find groups of fish that you just keep going through and going through and going through.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah,
if you could find that next to a point, you know, and you have the gear with you, I'll just anchor up on a point next to that. You know, usually either, you know, for me anyway, in a lot of these lakes, they'll be within casting distance of the bank usually, you know, right in the mouth of a creek, like you said, or something. And we'll anchor up and cut bait fish right there, you know. And I mean, unless it's like 100 feet deep or something, we're not going to do that. But if it's, you know, 20 feet deep or so, I'll switch the bait and do that. But I just try to do a little bit of everything. You know, I try definitely, you know, and that's one thing I try to encourage everyone is never label yourself. And it seems like that's very popular with striper fishing. You say, you know, how do you catch them? I'm a troller, or I'm a live bait guy. I'm a troller or a live bait guy. You know, be both. You know, be a caster, be a jigger, do it all. I mean, that's the most fun, you know. Yeah, it doesn't take a. I mean, you already spent the money, right? You got the boat, you got the sonar, you got all the stuff, a couple extra rods here and there, and you're rigged for everything. You'll have so much more fun doing it. You know, you won't get in a rut so quick, and you'll learn so much more about the fish, you know.
Yeah. Well, there's times the troll just doesn't work, or, you know, so you got to be able to use bait as well. And, you know, we chunk, we use livers, we use, you know, cut bait, we just whatever works is what we do. Yeah. So it's good. At this time of year, though, I mean, the water's cool enough. They're using the whole lake. It's not like midsummer where you got that thermocline where they're way down deep. I mean, they're going to use the whole lake this time of year.
That's right.
So
they can go anywhere now. There's oxygen everywhere, and the water's cooling, and the bait moving everywhere. And
yeah. Now, do you get many blitzes down there? Even in the freshwater, like we'll have blitzes like in the evening and stuff. They'll come up and just pound owlwise. You throw a topwater in there. Is that something you do down there as well?
Absolutely. They don't last as long as they do like in saltwater. You know, they come up and they're gone really fast.
Yeah.
But absolutely. And there's a lot of really good striper fishermen here. That's all they go out. They go out. They have 2 rods with little flukes on them.
Right.
They never shut the motor off. They just run and gun all day, and they're very, very good at it. You know.
Yeah. That's one of Josh's techniques too.
Yeah, I've sit out there plenty of hours just sitting out there, not even with lines in the water some of the times, because if you're gonna chase the blitzes, like you said, they are short. You got to be ready to go quick.
Yeah,
and got plenty of fish like that. It's a lot of fun.
It is. It's a great way to fish. I enjoy it. What's your favorite way?
Well, if you have to pick one way to catch a striper, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean,
it's got to be. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's. That's perfect right there. You see him break, it cast, and as soon as it hits the water, it's just scream and drag. I mean, what's better than that? I mean,
yeah,
right?
Yep. Yeah, I love it too.
So a lot of times they have, at least in our lake, they have a tendency to miss your top. I use a lot of top water in that situation. They tend to miss it 5 or 6 times as you're retrieving it. So your heart just explodes 5 or 6 times as you're retrieving it, and finally the rod actually loads up. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's how you know you still love it, if your heart still stops. You know,
that's right.
That's awesome. So, how about saltwater? What do you do this time of year for saltwater, Mike?
All right. So this almost every time, like if I'm like this case, we're going to New Jersey, so it's Raritan Bay, and I'll launch. And I mean, I know some guys up there that I talk to here and there, but you know, we don't go fish on top of each other or anything. You know, it's more of like, what are they there yet? You know, are they thick yet? Stuff like that. So I'll get up there, and usually I'll troll. I'll put out the mojos. Right. Or I'll do a mojo, like a heavy mojo with a Maja spoon.
Right.
And I kind of like smaller. I like a little bit of a smaller spoon. His smaller spoons with a heavier mojo, because those bigger spoons tend to lift up a little bit too much. So, but I'll either do that, you know, like a tandem with a mojo with a trailer, or the spoon, and we'll just start looking around. And first I'll run around, and we'll ride on plane for a while. Just don't take my eyes off the screen, and just looking for bait and fish, and usually you can find something. The Raritan Bay is not like the Chesapeake. Like Chesapeake Bay, dude, you get it's the ocean. I mean,
I've
you
been
get in the
there.
middle, you don't know. You won't see land. I mean, it's enormous. Where the Raritan Bay is, it's a whole lot more manageable. So you can cruise around, and you have your 5-6 little spots, main spots that you want to look first. And if I don't find something that is just jumping off the page, we'll put the spoons out or the mojos and just start trolling around. And I'll start that way. So I'll start trolling just so I can look, see what's happening, see where the bait is, see where the fish are. You'll start to see boats moving in and out. And, that place is tough because it's one of the places where you see the fleet and you go 180, you know what I mean? You get away from the fleet, where a lot of these bigger places, you see the fleet and it's a good place to start or at least look. But man, this fleet can be wicked there. I mean, they're just bouncing off of each other.
That's
they got lines way out the back, and they'll have lines 100 feet out the back, and they'll pull right in front of you. Right in front of you. Like they put their own lines in danger, and
right.
So I avoid that like the plague, of course. But so
Smart.
I may look by trolling, and then we'll, if we can drift with live bait, or nets and bunker and drift with live bait, and if they're spread out, that's what we'll probably go to next. And if we find tight groups that just sit together, we'll chunk on those groups.
Gotcha.
So
That's
trolling,
a good
live bait, drift and then chunk pretty much. And if they're good and they stay spread out, we have a good live bait drifting bite, I'll just stay on that. That's the most fun. Guys like to hold the rod, feel that bait get nervous and scream out. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, it is. Hey, a couple more folks join us. We have Dave Gebhardt. Hey, Dave, how you doing? And good friend John Augustine. Actually, I was going to tell you, I was out in the Raritan with John Augustine this spring. Great day, and kind of the same things. I mean, talk about finding life. I think John will even tell you, we could have walked ashore. The bunker was so thick in there. It was just one of those days, and you could snag a bunker or net some bunker. But yeah, we got them on the mojos too, trolling mojos around. It was the big thing in a couple top waters when they were blitzing on some of them. It was a fun day.
That's very promising to see all that bait. That's been very. I've been so happy about that, to see so much more bait over the last few years in there. I mean, just so much bait, like you talked about. You could walk on it.
It was
fantastic sign for the future.
I'll tell you, I know we were trying to get together last year and fish a couple times, and that didn't work out. And spring with COVID hit us. We were going to go, and I think I texted you one time saying the Raritan's on fire, and I think you got sick because you couldn't get out. So we're gonna have to plan a trip one of these days, Mike, and actually get together and do some fishing.
We'll do it this fall.
Oh, that'll work. Yeah, we still got plenty of fishing to do. So, but how about other things? I mean, do you do any surf fishing for stripers, or are you strictly a boat guy?
Not anymore. I used to. When I was younger, I used to love surf fishing. I really, really loved it. And in between trips and stuff, I'd go, but I was never big on fishing by myself, and it's strange, in all the years, since I was a kid, like walking to the pond or something, fishing by myself. I've never really gone fishing completely alone, if you can believe that.
Really?
I always have somebody with me, or I just don't. Everyone gets something different out of fishing. Some people love the solitude and just, they don't care if they even catch a fish. They just want to be out there in nature and just chill and just, quiet their mind. Some people love to go out there and love to have a lot of people with them. Some people just, if they don't catch fish, they're just angry, you know what I mean? So everyone has to get something different out of it. And I guess to me, it's about the people you're with, really. That's what you remember. You remember people's reactions, and you remember, people saying that's my biggest fish ever, or just getting excited, or losing a fish and getting angry and then catching one later and redeeming themselves or something. So for me, it's that's what I get most out of, I think, is fishing with people. So surf fishing is kind of a lonely gig. You know what I mean? And I did a lot when I was younger, but I always had friends to do it and stuff. And then once I started fishing on the boat, I just really never looked back. We kind of specialize in backwater stuff, rivers and sounds, and getting up in the creeks and catching big fish where you wouldn't think they're going to be. And I found there's just a lot more interest in that. There's a lot more inland fishermen than there are guys with 60-foot yachts that, or big 40-foot fishing boats that go out and chase stripers with 14 rods out, or like Chesapeake, they use those big planer boards. And have you seen the video of the guys? These guys are my heroes. 52 rods out at one time.
No, I haven't seen it. No,
it sounds like Zach Merchant. Though, striper
Zach, yeah.
It's Fish Circus, and they're on Waypoint TV a lot, and they have a couple fishing shows. Like they have big deal fishing shows, and there's these two brothers that, oh my God, it's hysterical. But they put 52 rods out on the Chesapeake Bay, and a boat about my size, like 25, 20. 52 rods out at one time. You guys see the T-top, rods all the way around the top, rods all the way around the side. If you search 52 rods, you'll see it. These guys are my heroes, man.
We'll have to look that one up.
I've seen some guys, maybe not quite that much, but I've seen guys run a lot of rods, and when they're dialed in, it's absolutely phenomenal how they can do that with precision.
I don't know what you do if you had 3 or 4 go off at once.
Yeah.
Panic.
Yeah. Well, Mike, I've seen you do that. I mean, you guys in your boat, you double up, triple up quite often. It's kind of managed chaos, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's using the trolling motor can really save you. That's what it is. If you can, that's probably a big tip I like to share too. Like I'll watch a video sometimes and there'll be a guy hooked up and the fish is circling the boat, and he's got many rods out and he's moving rods. And if you just crank your trolling motor up a little bit, that fish will come right back to the back and they'll stay right there. You just got to, you know, adjust your speed here and there. So the trolling motor is the trick to that. That's how we can kind of catch 2 or 3 at once without having too much.
Yeah, I like that.
Do you do a lot of your trolling with the trolling motor?
Yeah, when I use the trolling motor, I personally don't call it trolling. I call it strolling, because we're just going about, you know, a click or two faster than what the drift or the wind would take us. Pretty much just enough to keep us straight, you know. So at the Chesapeake, like if we're out wider, I did it at Raritan Bay a few years ago. We did eels with planer boards, and we put a spread of, I think we had 8 or 10 rods out, 3 planer boards on each side. I think we had 2 floats and maybe a downline or 2, because it's still 25 feet out there. And you just get out there and you put the boat in neutral before you put a line out, and you just sit still and wait. I don't care what you think the current is doing. I don't care what the tide chart says or the wind. Sit there and look at your chart, and you'll see which way the boat is moving on the chart. And that's the way we're gonna pull baits. Then I'll look and I'll try to find contours that kind of coincide with the way we're gonna move. So if I have contours that will run that direction, I'll run to those contours, because I always want to be on some kind of drop off or you know, some kind of anomaly on the bottom. And sometimes you don't get your wish and you just got to pull wide open flat water. But a lot of times you can find something that you can pull along and go the same direction. So I'll pull the same direction. And if the boat is naturally drifting, say 3 miles an hour, I'll drop the trolling motor down and we'll go 3.2. You know, so it's really like just a controlled drift, just enough to keep the boards out.
Yeah, I understand what you're doing. Yeah. My buddy Zach, we mentioned him a few times. He'll a lot of the time he'll troll with the idle of the motor. He'll troll in the idle and just use the motor for control. Yeah, it seems like that's basically you're the same thing. If you're just doing it just above the speed of the current, it's essentially the same thing.
Right, and that would be that's the way I would do it too. If I didn't have a trolling motor, that's exactly the way I would do it. And a lot of the bigger boats in the Chesapeake do, because you know, we're talking 30, 40 foot boats, and now they have the Rodan motors coming out, and guys use them with those big boats. But before that, you know, the gas motor is a great way to do it.
Yep, that's really cool. That's great technique. I've seen you do that up in the Raritan a lot, so it's obviously really successful. Yeah. Hey, I want to thank Gary Gasman for joining us. Thank you, Gary. Said he was marking a lot of fish at Beltsville too. So yeah, that's a good way to do it. Downriggers, that's the same way we do it a lot. So yeah, good luck. You got to let us know if you get anything. So where you said you're going to hit Jersey first? Are you going to do any more freshwater fishing this year, or are you kind of hang that up and it's all saltwater from here out?
No, I will do some. Let me think here. Well, I'll do some now, like I said, until I come up there, and I might be done when I come back from the Raritan. Depends how long that lasts. If it lasts a good long time, I'll go straight from there to the Chesapeake.
Okay.
If it gets shut down quick, like if we have a lot of snow, it cools off, I'll probably come down and hit some lakes in Tennessee or something, but right before I go to the Chesapeake. So gotcha. I'll take what the weather can give.
What do you have for advice for guys who are after the saltwater run has ended, and the guys who are living close to the freshwater lakes with the stripers? What advice do you have for targeting them right up until the lake freezes over?
So up in your area, up there,
yeah,
in Pennsylvania,
basically.
New Jersey.
Yep.
Let's see. Well, you know, here we get an early winter bite down here. One thing that's super, super hot when it first gets that cold snap and the surface shad and stuff start to die, the yearlings start to die off. We'll use these little 2-inch or 3-inch little blade jigs, or just solid lead in a white or chartreuse color. Mm-hmm. And we'll try to find where those baits are dying, or usually the mouths of creeks, you know, because the creek will cool off really quick when a cold snap happens. And any of those yearling baits, those little baits, they can't handle it and they die, and they just pile up on the bottom. And catfish sit on the bottom and eat the dead ones and some of the drifting ones. And those stripers, especially the big ones, they'll just sit there in the mouths of those creeks waiting for those cold snaps. And I've had some of the best striper fishing in my life doing that. You know, it's totally hit or miss. Sometimes you get, if they're not keen on it and if it's not happening, they're not going to be there. But if you can find that and fish 3 or 4 days, and I'm talking about the most brutal cold, the first brutal cold snap you get where it's, you know, in the teens every day or every night or something like that, 3 or 4 nights. On that 4th, 5th night, if you get out there, that can be extremely deadly, and it is super fun. You can just sit in one creek and, you know, they're lazy. They're just sitting there on the bottom, just taking what nature gives them and eating those, sucking those shad right up. And that can be good. I mean, that can be good right up until it freezes, because that's what happens right before it freezes. You know, right before you get those brutal teen days. You know, not nights, where it gets in the teens in the daytime and stuff.
Right.
That's what I would do right before.
That's really good.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen that all the
That's a
time.
lot
I mean,
of fun.
yeah, even as we fish the lake, we see them moving back towards the creek, the
Into the
feeder
arms,
creeks
yeah,
and the arms and
absolutely.
stuff like that. So we always
And
they come out of that
catfishing,
real deep water.
And on the note of him saying those big fish sitting in the arms, biggest fish ever from our lake, 44 pounds, came in the arm.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
There you go. Right to your point.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
See,
That's where
Mike
the
knows what he's
dinner.
talking about. That's really cool.
And if you're catfishing too, if you like catching a mixed bag, or if you have big catfish in your lake, you can catch big catfish doing that as well.
Without a doubt, we hit them quite often. You know,
Yeah.
actually, that's usually a midsummer thing, but I want to try that tactic with when things start to freeze up a little bit. That sounds good.
Sure.
Now, do you have blue cats in the lake you're fishing?
Oh yeah, yeah. All the southern lakes here have blue cats. Right on. The main lakes that I fish, they're within 45 minutes of me are Kerr Lake. It's Kerr, Kerr Lake.
I've heard of it.
And you have Jordan here, and you have Gaston, and Smith Mountain's about 2 hours from me, a little over 2 hours. And
Okay.
Kerr Lake has, I think, the state record now is the world record. I think it's 148, 140,
That's
140
insane.
pounds. Yeah.
Crazy.
And and a good buddy of mine, Zach Royce, he used to fish with me striper fishing right before he started guiding for catfish. And he caught, I think I told you this before, I think we talked about it. He caught a 93-pound catfish and a 103-pounder in the same day. Unlike that, and all blue cats. He caught that 93-pounder, and him and his dad kept it alive all night. It took a whole night for the biologist to come down. So they kept it alive in this giant tank in the back of his pickup truck. They came down, certified it. He released it, and he says, well, I'm on a pattern. I'm going right back out. So he didn't sleep at all. Him and his dad went right back out and immediately hooked up to one that was bigger than that. It was 103, I think it was 103 or 105. They called the biologist before he got home and said, turn around and come on back. And he's got it all on video. If you go to Stripe Catch the Fever, they make the catfish rods and the striper stealth rods that I help design with. If you go to Catch the Fever's YouTube channel, it's their most watched video they have there, and you can see him catch the second one, the 103.
I bet.
I know what I'm watching after this.
A little. It's an little Abu reel, a little like an Abu 6500, and it was on a Catch the Fever rod on 30-pound test and boat that just circling the boat. He had to get help from somebody else to come lift it into the boat, and just monsters down here.
I think we'll have to try that one day. I've never caught blue cats. Did you get one ever down south?
Yeah, I've caught a few down in Texas, but yeah, they are phenomenal fish.
Yeah, that's something I haven't got. I think I just want to try that at least once.
Oh yeah.
Mike, I want to back up a little bit. You were talking a few minutes ago about, how to position your boat and use your boat. Why don't you talk about your boat? I know you got one hell of a rig there, and I think you got all the striper guys jealous for sure.
Yes. Well, thanks for asking. It's my first new boat that I've ever owned. I own boats my whole life, and I always had little junkers and beater up and fixer uppers that I've had since I was 14 years old. And my first new boat was a Sea Pro that I bought in 2004. And I got a loan for it and everything, it's the first brand new boat I ordered, and it was exactly what I wanted. And I love that boat to death. And Sea Pro was the #1 saltwater boat builder in the world back then. And they sold the company. They had an offer that's too good to refuse. So they sold the company, and the two owners were brothers. They retired. And then the company went out of business because they made some changes. And one of the brothers, Jimmy Hancock, fantastic human being. This guy is just such a great guy. He put a crew together. It's like a family over there, and they got the name back and started rebuilding boats. And here we are, like 4 or 5 years later, and he's right back on top. I mean, just crushing it. Over 1,200 boats on order right now. I mean, it's just you have a problem. I'm telling you, there are stories that I hear from customers because they'll actually text me and say, "Man, I hit a dock and I tore the whole side of the boat up." They picked up the boat from Florida, brought it up. I'm not lying now. This is true. He fixed the boat. Charge, delivered it back. That's old school right there. That's customer service that's going to keep not just the customer, it's going to keep a family, it's going to keep generations of families, customers for life. And that's the old school way, man. You know what I mean? Look, we don't have to run, if you look, they're not running ads on TV everywhere. You know what I mean? It's not in every book and every magazine that you look at. They're putting out a super quality product, an incredible price, and they bleed into that product. They treat each product like it's an offspring. There's pride there, and if there's something wrong, they're going to fix it. And they listen to everything. Like I wanted, as I'm getting older, I find that the rear deck of my boat is not as usable to me as the front deck. The front deck, I'll throw the net and stuff, but I don't need the back deck. But I like the front deck. I like a bay boat that runs shallow and it's real stable. So we're going to work together on it. And where the back of the boat is going to be more of a deep V, where you have the full gunnel to walk around the entire.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Where the bow is still like a bay boat, where you can get up on the deck and you still have that very shallow dead rise for stability with the sharp entry point in the front, so you can plow through rough water. And it's going to be kind of a hybrid, but to me, it's my dream boat. That's the boat that I've always wanted my entire life. And when I was younger, you know, the deck in the back is okay. You jump up on the deck and I can throw the net off that too and cast. But when you get older, you don't want to keep stepping up and down all the time, especially when you're out in some of the snotty conditions, you know. So
right.
You mentioned it to C Pro and they're like, let's do it. You know, let's do it. Come on, let's talk about it, you know. And what's not to love about that? You know, just love everything about C Pro. Thanks for asking. I appreciate that.
No, it's certainly, I mean, I know they support you, but I mean, what a product. I mean, I've seen lots of your videos, and every time I watch one, I just kind of drool over your rig, because it's, you can't design a boat for the kind of fishing we do any better than what you got there. Right.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to butter you up here so I can get on that one day.
Right.
No,
I hope you both can come out this fall.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're up here. I mean, please give us a call. We'd love to come out and join you and, you know, get up on that rail and hopefully pull a few big striper over the rail on that thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll do it.
Awesome. Sounds great. Any other suggestions or things you can offer folks for, you know, the upcoming season, either fresh or saltwater?
Yes. I would say, and it's one thing I've been getting on lately is you and I spoke about it before, you, me and Josh, about how just do whatever it takes to not label yourself as a fisherman, you know, especially when it comes to striped bass. What's the beauty of striped bass fishing is you can catch them countless ways. You can catch a 50-pounder in 3 feet of water in fresh water in a creek that you could jump over, or you can catch them in the ocean. You can catch them in the mountains of Tennessee in the summertime. You can catch them, you know, in Gloucester in the breakers, smashing against the rocks. You can catch them. I mean, lakes, rivers, sounds, oceans, bays, they're everywhere. They can live in fresh water. They can live in saltwater, brackish water. They're an incredible fish, and there's so many ways to catch them. And I'll speak to someone and say, you know, you catching them, you know, there's a great live bait bite. Oh, I'm a troller, you know, or there's a great troll bite. No, I'm a chunk guy. And I encourage everyone to try to get away from that. You know, if you never trolled before, get a couple trolling rods. If you never chunked before, you know, set up a couple mono rods with mono on it and some hooks and get out there and some floats maybe and drift some baits, or just try something different and reach outside your comfort zone. And I'm telling you, it'll open up in a whole way that you never even thought possible. You know, find some other guys around who maybe, if you never chunked fish before, find a guy who chunks fishes and say, let's go do it, man. You show me a couple things here. I'll show you some trolling things. And now we catch them 2 ways.
Right.
You know, and add on. You know, you'll have some of the most fantastic fishing, and everyone gets in a rut. I don't care, you know, how good the fishing is. After a while, you might not realize it. Like you spoke about on a topwater bite, and the fish, you know, misses it 3 times and your heart races. There will become a time that maybe your heart won't race anymore, you know, and that's the time to go ahead and mix it up a little bit, you know, and
right.
And you know, and try other things. And I think you guys will, you know, and fail. Go out there and fail. Who cares, right?
Well, we excel at that. We do that every once in a while.
Yeah. And, you know, I want people to know there are plenty of times I go out and I don't catch anything. I mean, there are plenty of times I don't go out there and get, you know, trying something different, or, you know, and I don't want people to think that I go out there and slam every time, because the videos make it look that way, but I can't put out a video of no one catching anything. You know, this is boring.
That's a great point. And I think people see us do that all the time. You know, we'll put videos up, we're out fishing and we're always getting nice stripers. And they think it's every time you go out. There's times I've put miles and miles and miles on my boat and I ain't had a bite. So that's striper fishing. That's the way it is.
It's highlights. It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing I want to touch on, since you're giving out advice, I managed to find a couple of those Team Old School floats that you sent me a while ago, and I actually just gave them to Josh to try out in his boat. Why don't you tell us the best way to fish them?
Okay. Well, you broke up just a little bit there. Okay. The best way to fish those floats?
Yeah.
When I designed those floats, everyone's spread was kind of the same. We put multiple boards on the side, and the planer boards go way out to the side of the boat, almost directly parallel to the boat. And then out in the back, you'd put 1 or 2 floats. But there was this dead zone between your last board and the float. Just a whole lot of water there that was unused. So I took one of their pearl shaped, their teardrop shaped floats, and I put a piece of plexiglass that was just angled in it, and it would kind of fill that area. So it won't go out way to the side. It'll still stay behind the boat, but it's, I tell people they work great in pairs. So if you get two of them, they just stay away from each other.
Right.
So get them in pairs and they just stay away. So if your boat's only 8 foot wide and you had two regular floats that were 8 foot wide, you put enough line, you can get them 60 feet apart from each other. So that's what I use them for. I use them to fill that dead zone, and I can add 2 rods. Or if someone was so a lot of people only fish 1 float out the back. They don't want to get tangles and have to worry about 2. So now you can put 2 out. And even if the boat's rocking and you're making all kinds of turns, they will still stay away from each other. So they're designed really to work in pairs and stay away from each other. If you want to give us a pair away right now to one of your guys, one of your listeners, we can give a pair away if you want.
Well, how about we do that for the trivia giveaway? I think that'd be an awesome giveaway for that. Awesome. Thank you, Mike.
Absolutely.
So what we'll do is when we make the drawing, I'll go ahead and forward you the address of the winner, and you can just mail it right to the winner of the contest. How's that?
The Ready Rig guys are a lot like the Sea Pro guys. They're one of the first people that called me because I posted a video of us catching Chesapeake stripers on their floats. And I got a call one day, and he says, "Man, I see you catching stripers on there. Let's come fishing with you." So they came out, and that's when I showed them that little design I had, and they went right to it. They went and they weighed it, and they reproduced it and all that. And they said, "What do you want for this design?" I said, "Well, it's your float, man. It's your release. I just tweaked it." And I said, "Just put TOS in the model number. It's this little wink. We do it, so it's called a TOS 400 for Team Old School. But they're the same way. They're great guys. They listen. They'll call up. They'll come out and fishing, and they're taking notes, and they really listen to what you're talking about. And that's the key to success, man. Don't tell people what they want. Ask them what they want.
Sure.
Very good point.
Break it out. Ready Rig.
What kind of bait do you run off the back of that? What's your favorite setup when you're running those?
For truly big stripers in winter and fall in the Raritan Bay as well, eels. Always eels. And in freshwater, we'll use gizzard shad, herring. If I can only find threadfin shad, I'll use threadfins. On some of the big mountain lakes, Tennessee, Kentucky, we'll use trout because they stock trout, and you could buy trout at the trout farms. If you do that, just make sure you keep your receipt proving that you bought the trout and didn't catch them. Of course. And then and I've done it with a bunker before, live bunker.
Okay.
We get a lot of runoffs sometimes with the live bunker because if you're going a little too quick with a live bunker, if you're going with the current that's going 3, and like I said, I like to go a little faster than that and say I'm going 3.5, they tend to pull the bait out of the mouth a lot, so unless it's an absolute giant fish that just, inhales it. They're a little tricky with the bunker sometimes. So I'll keep it with, if I do it with bunker, I'll try to do it with smaller bunker, like not the big, the full grown bunker, the big 12, 13 inches. Now in freshwater, it's different. I'll use gigantic trout. We'll use trout that some guys would mount, but we can go very slow. We can crawl at 1.2 and have the trout just swim wherever it wants behind the board. But but eels, man, in saltwater in the fall, in Raritan Bay, and I haven't seen anyone really doing it. I know I haven't seen anyone pulling boards in Raritan Bay, and I've done a few videos on it. If you check it out, it can be a lot of fun, it's a great way. It's a great way to cull. It's a great way to pull the bigger fish out of those schools. So when you're trolling normally with your mojos and your spoons, whatever, and you're catching fish, and they all seem to be in that the teenage range.
Right.
You stay around those fish with some boards and eels, you'll start picking them 25s and 30 pounders and moving up. Something about an eel in the fall, the bigger stripers they just can't resist it, or I don't know what it is, but the bigger fish always come on those eels out of those big schools. Yeah,
that's the same in the Chesapeake, isn't it? Springtime, I think that's the biggest live eels in the spring.
Yeah, that's all we do in the Chesapeake is eels. I won't even bring trolling gear there. I don't want to be tempted to use it. All I bring is eel gear. And sometimes you'll fish 3 days, you catch one fish per day, but if that one fish is 52 pounds.
Right.
Oh yeah, seriously.
That's the way to do it.
Really, usually you can catch 30 and 40 fish, at least nowadays, but the few you catch you're fighting over that rod to get to it,
Yeah. I love it. I think
it froze up on me. Am I still there?
Yeah, you're still here. We still got you, buddy. Oh, looks like he's lagging a little bit. Well, I hope we didn't lose Mike, but if we did, I think we're going to move on to the next set. We'll give him a second, see if he comes back. If not, we'll move on to the rest of our show.
I think some really great advice there.
It was great advice. I mean, I'm going to just get Mike off here. If he comes back, we'll bring him back in. But yeah, I mean, up there he is. He did come back. Awesome.
Yep. It said unstable connect.
Yeah, I don't know. Internet must be slow on one side or the other. I'm not sure. But hey, that was that's no worries. But that's great advice, Mike. We really appreciate you stopping by. And I know you don't have a Facebook anymore, but if folks want to get a hold of you and ask a question, is there a way they can get a hold of you and shoot you a message?
Absolutely. The quickest way is to comment on any YouTube video with a question. I answer every single question. If you see that I didn't answer a question, it means I didn't get the alert or I missed it. But I make an effort to answer every single one. So the quickest way is just ask a question on YouTube, or you can go to ask a question on Instagram. And like I said, I do my best to answer every single one. There's no stupid questions. I love talking to people about fishing. So
yeah,
anytime.
And if you haven't seen Mike's videos, you got to jump on YouTube and see him. I mean, actually, he taught me how to fish. When I was first getting hooked on stripers, I went and looked at all his videos. So don't tell anybody, but yeah, I was. You taught me a lot in the early years of striper fishing. So
I'm humbled.
No, the other way around. I'm humbled learning from you. So I appreciate everything, Mike. Mike, I think we're going to wrap things up here. AJ Mack says hello. How you doing, AJ and Samantha? Thank you guys for tuning in. I say appreciate all the advice. It doesn't get any better than that. And we will definitely fish together. If you're up in the area, please give me a call. Josh and I would love to come out and spend a few hours with you on the water.
Yep. We will absolutely do it. And we'll put some videos on your channel and my channel, and we'll have a blast.
Oh, that sounds like a good deal. So again, thank you very much. And guys, if you have any questions, be sure you give them that. Or if you have trouble, just email me and I'll be sure to get Mike it and we'll get you an answer on anything. Okay. Michael, thank you very much. Why don't you hold on here? We're going to do the rest of the show here real quick, and we'll talk to you a little bit after the show here, okay? So just hang on.
Guys.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much. All right, that was freaking awesome.
It was great.
I know. I could talk to Mike forever, but I try to keep this to about a half hour, 40 minutes. And obviously, we're going over a little bit.
Cut it off somewhere.
But we could talk to Mike forever. He's just awesome. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Lots of great advice. You know, if you're going to learn from the experts, and Mike is probably the guy to talk to if you want to go out and do some striper fishing. So we're just so glad that he was able to come on and share some of that information. So what we're going to do is I think we're going to start, taking on the rest of the show, and that's going to bring up our trophy board for the day. So starting off, since we're talking about stripers, we got Ryan Swoop here, and he got some stripers on the Delaware. So congratulations there, Ryan. Let me do something. No, never mind. That ain't going to work. Let's see. Next, we got his pop, Guy Swoop, out catching some stripers as well. So lots of striper action on the Delaware River.
It's almost like it's a theme today, George.
It's almost a theme of striper. How about that? Dave Gebhardt sent us this one, a really nice fish he got. Also, Charlie Roberts, he got these out of Beltsville as well. Nice. So there's a kind of a sampling of the fish you can get out of the lake that we hit all the time. Eric Crowley, he got this thing. He was actually down in Georgia, and he sent me this pic that he got out of Georgia.
Nice. Yeah, it's a big fish.
It is a big fish. Beautiful fish. So I guess we have to hit Georgia now, too. Trey Johnson sent me this one. I think this was out of the rare, and if I remember what he sent me up.
Look at the head on that thing.
I know, that thing is a beast. It is a beast.
Yeah.
But switching gears a little bit and going back to the Poconos, my good friend Eric Goodstall has been out on the trout. You see this nice little brown here. He's pulling out of the local streams.
Beautiful.
And our good friend Katie Courget, she was up on Lake Michigan out on a king salmon trip. And look at this beast that she picked up.
That thing's wild looking.
That is a wild looking one. So I wish we would catch something like that. Here, there's no salmon like that.
No, not really. No.
So that was great. Hey, thank you guys all for sending us those great pics. We really appreciate that. Love sharing your catches. Hopefully we'll be on some fish real soon and be able to share some ourselves. So that's going to bring up our trivia giveaway for this week. And if you listen, Mike said he's going to give away a set of these Team Old School floats. So these are really cool. If you like the trolling game, like he said, we'll go ahead and we'll give the winner this week a set of those Team Old School floats. The question this week is, according to Wikipedia, what is the record for the landlocked striped bass? Is it 46.2 pounds, 57.7, or 70.6? What is the record for landlocked stripers? First person to give me the correct answer will win a set of those Team Old School floats. Who's listening? Ryan Swoop again with a 70.6. Ryan, congratulations, buddy. You got that. That was quick.
He was really quick. That might have been the quickest answer I've ever seen.
I know. I'd have to repeat the question, but congratulations, Ryan. You got it. Yeah, 70.6. It was caught February of 2013 by James Bramlett on Warrior River in Alabama. And like Mike was saying, a drifted eel.
Oh, wow.
So, you take Mike's advice. He knows what he's talking about with those eels. So that's going to do it. Say, hey, Ryan, we'll get you the stuff. I already have your address, so I'll get that to Mike, and we'll get you those Team Old School floats out. Hopefully you get some stripers on them too. All right, guys, that's going to wrap things up. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, special thanks to Tim Keeble. What happened to my thing again? I don't know why it does
technical
this.
Difficulties.
It's always technical difficulties. Got to thank my friend Tim Keebler, FinSeeker Guide Service. Again, book your trip while there's still room. 215-262-4811. Tony Majah Products and thefisherman.com. And don't forget, you can always email me these pics, email me suggestions, PoconoGeorge@outlook.com. And don't forget to visit our brand new website, PoconoOutdoorsGuy.com. Guys, thank you very much. We really appreciate you tuning in. Hope to see you again next week. Say goodbye, Josh.
See you later, guys. Thanks for watching.